Hi, my name's Leo and I'm a boat builder and a sailor, and I'm on a mission to rebuild and restore this 111-year-old classic sailing yacht, Tally Ho. This week I'm going to be building the Mast Partners, but there's going to be various other things going on as well. And then next week I'm actually going off sailing, so I'm not sure yet whether I'll manage to get this video posted on time or not, but either way I'm going to try and get those Mast Partners finished before I leave. So mast partners are basically the pieces of blocking that hold the mast in position as it goes through the deck structure. So on Tally Ho and most traditional boats of that style, the mast passes through the deck and steps into the mast step, which is part of the centre line, usually laid on top of the keel timber. As it goes through the deck, of course it has to be held in position there so it's not wobbling around all over the place, and the deck beams themselves hold it in its fore and aft movement, but there's nothing at the moment in our deck structure to stop the mast from moving from side to side. So mast partners are basically pieces of blocking that go in between the two big deck beams, and then eventually once the mast goes in and it has that blocking on either side and the deck beams forwards and aft of it, then there'll be a series of wedges will go around the mast to actually hold it in place for good. And those wedges can be tweaked a little bit to get the mast rake and position perfect. And mast blocking can be made in quite a few different ways. It's common to see a separate piece on each side of the mast and then the wedges directly on the deck beams. I've also often seen it where there's one piece that goes all the way around the mast with just a hole cut in it for the mast, and that sometimes has pieces on either side of it, sort of strengthening knees if you like. Now these are all perfectly good ways of doing it, but the way I'm going to do it is actually in one piece. So it'll have eventually a hole in it for the mast, but it will go all the way out, so it won't be several separate pieces with strengthening knees and a central piece. It'll just be one piece all the way out with a sort of knee shape on either end and eventually a hole for the mast.
The top of our bulkheads that mount on the forward and aft faces of frames end at the deck head, so where the top of the deck beam and the deck planking meets, leaving quite a lot of end grain there of our diagonal T&G boards. We're taking preventative measures if there was ever any water intrusion at the deck in that spot. I'm gluing on these hardwood strips that are going to cover up that end grain, which will help prevent them from wicking up water. 。
Now I'm sure you'll remember in my last video I was trying to auction off this dinghy, and the profits were going to go half towards Tally-Ho's Spar Timbers and half to Rocking the Boat, a non-profit organisation that gets kids from the Bronx out on the water and building boats. Now initially, after my last video, I was really excited and pleased because the bidding went up really quick, and the winning bid eventually when the auction ended was $10,400, which is huge. It's a massive amount to go towards Tally-Ho's Spar Timbers and a really great donation for Rocking the Boat, so I was really pleased. Unfortunately, the winning bidder pulled out. He decided he couldn't buy the boat. I think he may have misunderstood where it was located, and I couldn't get in touch with the second highest bidder either. So the boat isn't sold. I haven't made any money on it. I have in fact donated half of that winning bid to Rocking the Boat. I did donate $5,200 of my own money to them because I promised them that money, and it just seemed like the right thing to do after making all this noise about supporting them. So I am really happy to have done that. I really believe in what they're doing. I am now $5,000 down on this whole operation, so Tally-Ho's Spar Timbers might have to wait a little while, but I am still going to try and sell the boat. I do need to get it out of here. I'm not going to use eBay. I'm just going to put a listing on Craigslist. There'll be a link down below this video in the video description. If you want to just make me an offer, if you're local to the area, Port Townsend, Washington, USA, and you can come pick it up, make me an offer. Ideally I'm just looking to make back some of the money that I donated to Rocking the Boat, and if I can do that, and if the dinghy can go to a good home, then I'll be happy. Some money will have gone to a good cause, and all will be well with the world.
This cleat just screws into the underside of the deck beam, and eventually, once all the stuff on the other side's taken away, it'll be screwed into the bulkhead will be screwed into the cleat. Dang, so many words.
Cool. Who made that cleat?
I made that cleat, Leo.
Last few days I've been working on this, these forward bulkheads, which are the chain locker. In hindsight, I should have put the forward end first, and then put the aft one in, because it was kind of an issue of me getting stuck in between them when I put the forward one in. So I managed to get out of there anyway, but we still have to take the clamps off and trim that forward bulkhead to the elevation of the after bulkheads. There's going to be a platform there and a shelf that goes across those two, and a hole for the chain to go down through everything.
So now I've put the shape into the ends, either end of the Mast Partners, and I've carved out the the deck camber on the bottom to match the bottom of the deck beams. But the whole piece doesn't actually sit horizontally because of the rise of the deck as it goes forwards. The whole piece is actually at a slight angle, but the fore and aft faces of the deck beams are vertical, so it's actually needs to be a sort of trapezoid shape in section. I think that's the right word, no idea. But to get that angle on the ends, we're just going to run it over the jointer and put that little angle on both ends so that it slots down vertically into notches on both of the deck beams.
I'm gonna get a bigger hammer. So I've recently installed these tie rods. They are essentially large bolts that go from the skylight carlin out to the beam shelf. There's two on both sides of the boat. The skylight, being our largest deck opening, is somewhat compromised in that it can move a little bit. It's close proximity to the shrouds and the chain plates. It could potentially, shift a little bit while the boat's underway. So our tie rods prevent the carlin from moving any further inboard towards the center line. And of course we have our half beams here that prevent the carlin from moving any further outboard, so stabilizing that carlin beam. In addition to that, when we do our traditional laid deck, there's going to be some force there with the corking. All the decking gets edge set together and then corked tight with cotton. Being up against this large deck opening, all that force could have a little bit of pressure pushing this carlin beam inboard, so those tie rods are holding it there to prevent it from moving at all.
So the Mast Partners are in, they're just dry fitted right now. I realise I keep saying Mast Partners as if it's more than one piece of wood when actually it is just one. But anyway, it's dry fitted now. I'm fairly pleased with it. Feels nice and strong, and of course it needs to be bedded and bolted, but I'm going to do that when I get back, because right now I've got to pack up my stuff and head east. So it's been a short week, it's flown by, but we got quite a bit done. As well as what you saw, we actually spent 2 full days just moving timber around, organising a bunch of timber that was still up in Squim and bringing it down here. I'm actually out of here now. The next week I'm doing a yacht delivery. I haven't had a week off working on the boat for over a year, I don't think. So it's about time for just a little change of scene. So an old friend of mine is captaining a yacht delivery and needs some crew. It's a working holiday really, it's just a chance to get away from this project just for a minute, but also to earn some money to help fund all the materials and so on for this project, of course. So I'm back in Port Townsend, had a really good trip on the East Coast. It was just a short passage just from New York down to Annapolis, around the outside of the coast there, and then up the Delaware through the C&D Canal and down the Chesapeake Bay a little ways. The boat was a Jeanneau 60, and as you saw, it was not exactly a traditional wooden boat, but very comfortable, very easy to sail. I really did this delivery to help out my friend Emma, who is doing a great job captaining the boat, and just to earn some money and be able to hang out with some friends and be distracted from this project just for a few days. And it's done a lot of good for me. I think it's been really great to remember what it's like to sail offshore, remember what it's all about, and to reassure myself that I haven't forgotten any of my sailing skills, and I feel like I've come back with a lot of fresh energy. It was also not a bad way to make a bit of money, which is all going to go, of course, towards the materials and the rent and so on for this project. But most of that, of course, is paid for by you guys, by the very, very generous people who choose to donate and support this project or become patrons, and it does make a huge difference. It literally makes this project possible. So I'm just so grateful, and I feel very lucky and privileged to be able to carry on doing this work. So thank you, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.